Welcome back, Night Dwellers, to Simple Dark Stories. I'm your host, Mothy. In tonight's story, young Rian is about to discover that not all adventures lead to treasure. Some lead straight into the jaws of something far more terrifying. Something lurking beneath the surface grins back at you with hungry eyes. So gather close and prepare yourself as we dive deep into Grin of the Drowned, Part 1. The dry seagrass sways lazily in the warm afternoon breeze. The sky above is a cloudless blue, the sun hanging high and casting a bright, golden light across the shore. The air is humid, thick with the scent of salt and brine, but there's something else too. A faint, sour odor of decaying seaweed that lingers on the breeze. Ryan's heart races with excitement as he gazes out at the distant, shimmering tides. He kicks off his flip-flops without thinking, the sand beneath him soft but radiating heat that quickly engulfs his toes. Sand sprays into the air as he rushes past his family, his pulse quickening. "Watch it," Jolie says, brushing the gritty particles from her sun-kissed legs. She rolls her eyes at her younger brother, but Ryan barely notices, already focused on the rhythmic crash of waves in the distance. Ryan keeps running until he finds the perfect spot, close to the ocean, but far away from the other tourists. Here the sand was untouched, a smooth, inviting expanse that promised freedom. He buried his feet in the powdery grains, wiggling his toes, savoring the warmth as it seeped into his skin. It had been years since he had felt the sun's heat on his bare feet, the coarse texture pressing against his flesh. He closed his eyes, imagining the perfect vacation that laid ahead. Endless beach days, the amusement park rides, and the deep sea fishing with his dad. The thrill of it all surged through him, electrifying his veins. The ocean breeze shifts, carrying with it the sharp, rancid stench of rotten seaweed. It hangs heavy in the air, like something decaying just beneath the surface. "Gross, it smells like that Walmart sushi you always eat," Jolie says, scrunching her nose. "Smells like you," Ryan says back, stifling a chuckle with his hand. The smile barely has a chance to form before a sharp sting explodes across the back of his head. He yelps, turning to face his mother, who stands with her hand still raised. "Don't talk to your sister like that," she says. Her eyes narrow in the same way Jolie's does, and for a moment they look eerily alike, even though Jolie always denies it. The resemblance makes him shiver, though he doesn't know why. A plastic cooler thuds onto the sand, the sound flat and dull, as his father trudges over with a massive beach umbrella, thrusting it into the ground. They lay out the quote-unquote beach blanket, which was just a worn quilt that smells faintly of mothballs. The wind picks up, whipping it around until it settles, the fabric fraying at the edges. Jolie sprawls out on the blanket, slathering herself in tanning oil until her skin gleams unnaturally under the sun. The scent of coconut mingles with the briny, rotting seaweed, creating an oddly nauseating blend. Ryan tries not to gag. "Come here, honey," his mother waves him over, wielding a bottle of sunscreen. He sighs. Why doesn't Jolie have to wear sunscreen? he says, pointing at his sister. Jolie ignores him, but he sees her lips twitching into a smug smile. Remember last time? His father says, chuckling as he approaches. You got sunburned sitting under an umbrella. His father's tanned arm clamps down on Ryan's shoulder, heavy and unyielding. There is no escape. The sunscreen feels cold and thick as his parents slather it onto his skin, their hands rough and insistent. It leaves a ghostly white film, no matter how much he tries to rub it in. He looks like a walking snowman, pale and out of place against the sunburnt tans of his family. Ryan stares out at the ocean, eyes catching two boys in the shallows, gliding effortlessly on their boogie boards. Their sandy blonde hair clings to their heads, and their skin glistens with salt, not sweat. They move as if they belong there, like they've been part of the beach forever. The waves lap at their ankles, a faint hissing sound as the water draws back, leaving wet, shiny trails in the sand. Am I done? I want to play, Ryan whines, bouncing on his feet. He hates the sticky, greasy feel of the sunscreen, the way it makes his skin tingle unpleasantly. His mother sighs, clicking the sunscreen bottle shut. Fine, but don't go far. He doesn't wait to hear the rest. The moment her grip loosens, he bolts towards the two boys. He barely notices his mother's voice calling for him, lost to the wind and waves. The boys pause as Ryan approaches, the water dripping from their knees. That looks so cool. Can I try? Ryan says, pointing eagerly at their boards. The taller boy, with eyes the color of storm clouds, shakes his head. We only brought two. Oh, Ryan says, deflated. That's okay. Do you want to hang out? The two boys exchange a glance. Then the taller boy nods. Sure, I'm Nolan. This is Brax. Ryan introduces himself, and they wander aimlessly up the shore, chatting about the usual boy chats, their favorite TV shows, who can run the fastest, and whether sharks really swim this close to the beach. Then Nolan points toward the far end of the beach, where dark, jagged boulders jut up from the sand. Want to go check it out? Last year, we found a hammerhead shark. Well, part of one, anyway. Ryan's heart skips a beat. Excitement and unease mingle together. Sure. As they draw closer, the air grows colder, and the sunlight dims as if some unseen hand has drawn a veil over the sun. A chill creeps up Ryan's spine, prickling his skin. He rubs his arms, trying to shake the sensation, but it clings to him, persistent and unsettling. Ryan's heart skips a beat, excitement and unease mingling together. Sure. As they draw closer, the air grows colder, and the sunlight dims as if some unseen hand has drawn a veil over the sun. A chill creeps up Ryan's spine, prickling his skin. He rubs his arms, trying to shake the sensation, but it clings to him, persistent and unsettling. The boulders are coated in thick green moss, oozing moisture as if the rocks are sweating. They glisten in the light, their surfaces rough and uneven. Ryan's fingers brush against one, and he jerks his hand back. It feels wrong, like touching a toad's skin. "Check this out," Brax calls, his voice slightly muffled. He stands in front of a small opening between the rocks, a dark, gaping maw that leads into the earth. "I bet there's treasure in there." "Or a sea snake," Nolan says, smirking. Brax shivers. "You go in first." Rian swallows hard, the knot of unease in his stomach tightening. The darkness beyond the entrance pulses, as if alive, as if waiting. But he squares up his shoulders and steps forward. "I'll go," he says, forcing his voice to stay steady. He has to be brave. He has to show them he isn't scared. Cold, damp air envelops him as he shuffles inside, the smell of rot thickening, growing almost unbearable. The cave's walls are slimy to the touch, and his fingertips tingle, almost numbed by the moisture. Every step echoes, the sound bouncing off the cavern's twisted walls. And then he hears it, a soft, wet slithering. That concludes today's episode. Join us again next week for another spine-tingling tale on Simple Dark Stories. If you enjoyed this and would like to help out, please give us 5 stars and tell us what haunts your dreams. Until next time.